Yeah, people had a little trouble understanding what this means. Because when I went back and said, what does P of 0 mean? Nobody really wanted to tell me. So I wrote out P of t is the principal after t years, right? So P of 1 is the principal after 1 year, P of 2 is the principal after 2 years. Then we ask, how are you going to get the principal after 3 years? Okay? Well, if I wanted the principal for the 3rd year, I'd start with this, right? Which is the principal after 2 years. And I'd add 12% to that. How do you write that out? Well, that's P of 2 plus P of 2 times 0.2. Okay? So, how would you write P of 50? Write down what you would write for P of 50. Okay. Everybody I looked at had it right, so you see the pattern. Okay? So P of 50 is P of 49 plus P of 49 times 0.12. Okay? Make sense? Okay. Well, I want to take this expression. Okay. Okay, so P of 49, sorry, P of 50 equals P of 49 plus P of 49 times 0.12. And I claim that that equals P of 49 multiplied by 1 plus 0.12. Now, how would you verify that that's true?
Distributive law.
You'd multiply this out by the distributive law, right? What's P of 49 times 1?
49.
P of 49. What's P of 49 times 0.12? That's P of 49 times 0.12. Okay? So this equals, of course, what's 1 plus 0.12?
1.12.
It's 1.12, isn't it? Okay, and again, if you're shaky in that, it's not surprising given all the overuse of calculators, but it's a little crippling if you don't resolve that and really understand that. Okay, so make sure you really understand that. All right, I think most of you do, but and some of you who have trouble with calculation, I've noticed in your homework, understand the principle and can do it in a more roundabout way, which really reveals deeper understanding than just being able to follow the rule. Okay, so make sure you've got all that. Okay, make sure you understand the rule, and if you can get the deeper understanding what that means, that's great. I don't have time to do that with you. I mean, I kind of do, but you don't. Okay. You got to focus on other things. Okay. Well, okay, so all of these are the same thing, right? So we can say this. okay? As long as t is a whole number of years, that's the same thing, isn't it? So if t is 50, t minus 1 is 49, right? And if t is 50, then this is the same as this. Now you understand at least one of the reasons why you really need to understand function notation, okay? Because trying to do this without function notation would be more confusing than just learning function notation and using it, okay? There's no really good way to write it down without function notation, or the equivalent, okay? So that's kind of important. And of course this equals p of t minus 1 times 1.12, okay? Well, I want to build this up again. Except that p of 1 has to be p of 0 times 1.12, right? Well then, p of 2 equals p of 1 times 1.12, right? But what's p of 1 equal? Equals p of 0 times 1.12. Right? Now, how can you write that a little differently? Well, isn't that p of 0 times 1.12 squared? Yeah, 1.12 times 1.12 is 1.12 squared. Now what's quicker if you got your calculator in your hand? Multiply 1,000 by 1.12 and then multiply that by 1.12, or just key in 1,000 times 1.12 squared. Quicker, right? When you get down to the 10th year, it's a lot quicker because you can keep doing this. Every time you're going to multiply principal for the previous year by 1.12, which means you're going to add another 1.12 onto the expression, right? So that p of 3 equals p of 2 times 1.12 equals p of 0 times 1.12 squared times 1.12 which is p of 0 times 1.12 cubed. Okay? So what do you think p of 50 is going to be? Well, there's kind of a pattern here. P of 2 is p of 0 times 1.12 squared, right? P of 3 is p of 0 times 1.12 cubed. So what would p of 50 be?
P is 0 times 1.12 to the 50th.
To the 50th power, right? Okay? So, whoops, didn't realize I had this stuff up there. Well, I'm going to write it and then I'll kind of wash this off when we stop it. Should have put another board up there. You want to know about torque and frictional torque and angular velocities and, you know, work done by torque over a given angle and, you know, that stuff that, you know, tells you what's going on with this? Would you rather do that than the Compound interest? No, okay, we'll stay with compound interest. Okay, this is great. It's wonderful, but physics students don't really understand it right now either. I keep trying to beat it into. Okay. Okay, so. If the pattern holds, there it is. Is there a good reason the pattern should hold? Well, yeah. Each year, you're going to base it on the previous year, so you're going to have another 1.12 on there, right? We can formally prove that using mathematical induction, but I'm not going to lay that on you, okay? Be good for you, but we don't have time, okay? And we could then write, okay, how about P of t equals what?
Zero times 1.12 exponent t.
Yeah. Yeah. In other words, the number here seems to match the number here. So now we have P of 0 times 1.12 to the t. So, P of t is $1,000 times 1.12 to the t. Okay? Now, I'm going to do something that you're probably not going to totally understand. Okay? But by next week you will. Okay, so I'm going to kind of throw it out to you now. What's the solution? To 2 to the x equals 1.12. Well, if you're prepared for the test, and people seem to have done pretty well with the problem involving solving log and exponential equations, you know that the solution to this is x equals log base 2 of 1.12. Okay? So this equals $1,000 times 2 to the log base 2 of 1.12, because that is what 1.12, 2 to the 1.12, therefore 2 to the log base 2, 1.12 is 1.12. You can also see that because these are inverse functions, okay? And, you know, if you're going to be doing this, you'll get used to the idea. Right now, if you do what you have to do for the test, you're fine, okay? So don't worry too much about it, but understand that directly, because of what you know for the test and what people so far have seemed to know, we could write this, okay? I'm going to get... Yeah. Have you got all this down so I can erase some of it? Okay. And you already conjectured what went on the two boards before this, right? Because as soon as I showed you the system was all clear. Okay? Yeah, okay. So you're good, so I can erase this. And if you didn't understand it, don't worry. It'll only be a 3-point problem to find. Okay. Okay. Okay? So ultimately, 1.12 to the t is just like 2 raised to the log 2 1.12. You don't have to remember that yet. Okay? And you don't even ever have to remember it. You just got to know how to get it. Later. Not now. Okay? But this is a 2 to some multiple of t, right? Well, if you know how to manipulate graphs, you can get a graph of this function. Okay? And it looks just like the graph of your 2 to the x function with just some relabeling. Okay? So this implies that your graph of p versus t looks exactly like your basic exponential function, 2 to the x, or 2 to the t in this case. Okay? The only thing is, where you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and so forth, you're going to have about, just giving you a preview, we'll go over the details of it later. Okay? So, okay, 1 is where this doubles, 2 is where it's doubled again. Instead of that, it's approximately 6, 12, and so forth. If you just relabel that graph, changing every unit to 6 units, you're going to have a graph that very clearly, very closely gives you how much money you're going to have after 2 years. Okay? And since you can't ever predict really how the money's going to grow in the future, this just gives you a good ballpark as to what you might expect. Okay? So, personal note, I've been paying for 25 years, I guess, maybe, on a life insurance policy, a whole life policy, that by now is supposed to be worth a couple $1 million. Well, I knew when the guy sold it to me it was going to be worth a couple $1 million. I don't know what it's worth. You know, probably $5.86. And I'm not counting on it. Okay, but if I die, it does pay off. Okay, so I'm going to make sure I die sometime. Okay? And at least it's probably going to pay off enough that's worth what I've been paying to keep myself protected against dying. So I haven't died yet, right? So I keep paying, I guess I don't die, something like that. Okay, I don't know, I got to go back and read the contract. Okay, anyhow, the point is, when I bought it, I made a projection. The salesman made a projection, and they were completely different. His projection was totally optimistic on everything because he wanted to sell it to me. But the projection I made it worth it anyway. Okay? So if I live long enough, I can cash it in. When I'm pretty sure I'm never going to die, I'll just cash it in. Right? Okay. You got to make these life decisions. Okay? So just take me as an example. Don't do that. Okay.